Good evening. I am here to drop in for some late night talking tarot and to kick off a series of 4 readings that actually coincide with the Supermoon series that we're putting out here. And it's called The 4 Jewels of the Tuatha De Dannan. And we're going to drop in on that tonight. This is a download that I got in. I'm just sending some sage your way. We're creating some respectful space to honor the ancestors. The Tuatha De Dannan are my ancestors. So I really want to create the appropriate space to bring in what I'm bringing in tonight. We're going to go down a rabbit hole a bit. I'm going to bring in some cross-cultural references. I want to demonstrate how, even though we may have different beliefs, there are these beautiful threads of unity and connection between us all. And that's what BroadCoven is all about. So thank you so much for choosing to drop in and spend your time with me. I'm really looking forward to this one tonight. I am bringing in what is something that was mused for me. It came in as a channel download. And then, as with all things that come in for me with a channel download, I start to do research to see if I can find something, some kind of evidence of what I'm picking up on that is actually documented, any historical roots around my download. And when I went down this particular rabbit hole with this 4 jewels of the Tuatha De Dannan, it just like opened up. It opened up a whole new world to me, and I'm really excited about it because I'm on a fairy path. I've been on a fairy path since I came into this world, to be honest with you. Even as a child, I was always looking for gnomes, looking for fairies, always felt very connected to fairy. And I do have connection to the Gaelic people in my ancestral lineage. I, like the many people, have a lot of different backgrounds in my personal heritage, but Gaelic is very strong in my particular bloodline. And then there's the whole piece of magical bloodline, which my magical bloodline is Druid. And I feel a deep affinity connection with the trees and that whole symbolism of the tree of life, that the roots are very deep, and they connect us all, Trees, they're a beautiful medicine. They connect heaven and earth. The branches reaching high towards the heavens and spreading out, and we find coverage and shelter and peace and healing and protection within their bowers and sheltering there. It's just a beautiful merging of energy and strength and solidity, and we can learn so much from trees. But trees also have roots, and those roots are like a communication network. And communication is very much at the front and center of what I'm bringing in tonight. This is just the start of a big journey that is actually my ultimate purpose and vision behind BroadCoven, which is to make the world a little more small. And when I say a little more small, I mean in bringing together what feels like it's at such a great distance or apart. And certainly in the realm of polarization, I'm all about unity consciousness here. And I'm all about solutions and understanding our connections and focusing on those points of connection, then focusing on sources of division. It's not about ignoring the places where we do have fracturing in our society, but it is about being more focused on the solution, what action can be taken to address what's fractured in society. And that's the vision I hold here. That's what I want to hold here. I just wanted to bring in a little of this sage. I also have Comanche roots and Norse roots. So many different influences in my particular bloodline. But this is one that's close to my heart. And so to learn something even more deeply about Faerie through this process, even though I've been initiated onto a Faerie path for a number of years now, it's really kind of cool to learn something new. I love to learn new things. And what I learn, I love to pass on, and I love to share with all of you. So thank you for dropping in with me on this. And I'm going to be bringing in my download around this. We will try to get to some tarot. I'm hoping to. I did pre-shuffle the deck and like get it prepared. So we're ready to dive in with that. But I'm just going to go with the flow of this. I did map out the download that came in for me and compiled it with what I learned in my research and how it kind of like backed up my download. But I realized, as you can see, that this is something that needs some explanation and is not necessarily the easiest to explain through memory, you know, and there's a lot here that also requires a visual component to it to really understand it. And I'll probably play with more visuals in relation to this. I don't know, maybe I'll make a short or something. But I wanted to show you my process. My process when, you know, I get a download, and writing really came in for this lunar cycle with this past supermoon and Capricorn that we had. And it was interesting. This came in with my talk with Cal, where Cal was expressing about, you know, the supermoon isn't really technically a scientific term, and it's not really, but it is something that has come to be understood on a scientific level in terms of what I learned in my research about that and what is the significance of a supermoon. And what I learned is that the elliptical phase, which is like, it's like an oval kind of circular motion, okay, of orbiting. The elliptical phase of the moon gets much closer, like so close, so close to the Earth that it has a greater gravitational pull on our waters. And that's why they make the distinction, because they learned this. This is something they discovered once they started to do more kind of like looking into certain patterns back in the 70s. And they realized that there was a greater gravitational pull on the waters, that this could be a time when, depending on what kind of environmental factors were in play, there could be flooding or, you know, big waves to contend with, you know, tsunamis, you know, this kind of energy. And it's interesting for like that tsunami piece to come in, because tsunami, like the medicine of a tsunami is something that comes as a great awakener. Like when you're having a dream, if you find tsunamis coming in your dream, it means that there's something you're right on the precipice of, and it's a radical change in your life. And what comes after it is completely different. It's brand new. And that's really mirroring the energy of where we are right now. So it's interesting, you know, these super moons, it's like they're bringing in this wave of change, and they're bringing them in through different gems, different gems of wisdom. That's the best way to really look at these 4 jewels or 4 treasures. You'll sometimes hear them referred to of the Tuatha De Dannan. Now, who were the Tuatha De Dannan? Well, the Tuatha De Dannan are also known as the children of Danu. And Danu is the primordial goddess. She is a goddess that you will find her in absolutely every tradition, every cultural tradition all across the globe in one form or another. She is the primordial mother. She is the mother that births new things. She is a creative force. And I'm going to be speaking in terms of fairy tradition tonight. Danu is the root of fairy. She is the root on that tree of life of fairy. So we're really tapping the roots with Danu. There's a beautiful mythos about the story of Danu and how the world came into being, how things came into union through Danu, how we began to experience the other, the reflection, which is what we're really looking at with Danu's medicine. And it's also very front and center with the energies we're moving through right now, with the changing of the nodes of destiny that came in, with Aries taking over that north node from Taurus and Libra taking over the south node from Scorpio. And it's significant, and I'm going to touch base into that. It's very interesting. Danu is said to be the birther of gods. She is said to be the birther of worlds. She is said to be the queen of fairy and the mother of the children of Danu, the Tuatha De Dannan. The Tuatha De Dannan were said to have arrived on the shores of Ireland, and that they came from a place in the north, where they had gathered special magics, special wisdoms, secret knowledge, alchemical knowledge. And it's said that they arrived on the shores in clouds of mist. And it's interesting because from a historical point of view, it's uncertain if they truly did arrive in these clouds of mist or if that's more metaphorical. You see, I thought tonight we kind of like do like our ancestors used to do, since it's so front and center in the collective right now. I thought we just kind of like sit around the fire and talk fairy, spin some fairy tales, which is what fairy tales are, which is what these legends are that are passed around the campfire. They're actually seeds of wisdom. Seeds of wisdom that if we plant them, things grow from them. Things grow from them. Understanding grows from them. Knowledge grows from them. Healing grows from them. Beauty, blessings. They become giving trees. And so I wanted to just bring in this piece here. I'm working with a little bit of sage, just feeding some smoke, feeding some smoke to the ancestors as we tap these medicines and we share this space tonight. Historians say that it's possible that actually the mist on the clouds wasn't necessarily mist at all, but could have been they burned their ships when they arrived by sea, and it was the smoke that came forward with them. But there is mystery around the Tuatha De Dannan because the north is considered this like mysterious place, right? And it's interesting because in the astrological chart, the north node, it's the place of your destiny. So it's fascinating to me, this correlation here. I like to look at the threads of connection. So it's uncertain if they were trying to hide all trace of where they came from, which is very interesting in and of itself, and is something that is a thread I'm kind of like tugging on right now in my consciousness and exploring. I find it very fascinating. But they are the children of the goddess of Danu, and they are warriors, okay? They are warriors. They have strong spirit. And it's said that when they arrived in Ireland, they brought with them these 4 jewels or these 4 treasures. And these 4 jewels and these 4 treasures were magical items that were gained from 4 mystical cities. And these 4 mystical cities, I realized in my download as it came in for me, and I'm going to show you as it came in for me, just so I can share it with you and you can take it in and you can feel it out. I feel like this download is a message. It brings something forward for those who tune in for it. Okay, so let's play. Let's play in this space and let's just see what wants to emerge. So this is what I have all mapped out. I want to first talk a little bit about the moon that came in right before we had our first supermoon in Capricorn, which came in and kicked off this cycle on July 3rd. And this moon was coming in to really signal the changing of the nodes of that destiny and the seed of potential that would be planted with them. A seed that we won't really see come to full fruition with this cycle that got kicked off with that change, and really understand what our new beginning is, what we're stepping into, the destiny we're being called to. And everybody is looking for direction right now. This is very forward in the collective. There's a reason for it. It's because we're syncing up with our destiny, and that requires us to do certain karmic balancing and to prepare ourselves. There's certain wisdom we need to gain. There's certain jewels of wisdom we need to gain that we're being asked to gain with each of these super moons. And we're in this very deep alchemical process, actually. It's really beautiful. I'll show you how it's all mapped out. But there's this piece of it won't find its true fulfillment until the 4th super moon that will be coming in on the 29th of September, 11, alignment. And it's coming in the sign of Aries that kicked off this change in the nodes of destiny. And this is really wild, you know, this directional quality. And it's one of the reasons why I wanted to pull this out and share it with you. So the cardinal signs are very front and center. We know that Capricorn is the super moon that kicked off the cycle. And normally Capricorn, we'd be looking at in this north position. Like if you look up the cardinal signs, you'll see them mapped out like this, okay, with Capricorn in the north position and with Libra in that east position, and Aries in the west position, and Cancer in the south position, all right? This is how they would normally be laid out. It's a little bit interesting because this piece about the rotational shift changes things. We know that we had Earth in our last cycle, right? Last year. And recently we just had this change, which is what came in, what got ushered in with the full moon we had in Sagittarius. And that preceded the supermoon cycle. That full moon we had in Sagittarius was on that axis of Gemini. And Gemini is the 3rd house, the house of communication. What is the supermoon that we just had? We just had this supermoon that came in Aquarius, which is also about communication. It's about how we get a message across. It's about how we need to communicate something. And in order to communicate something, there's another piece that's required of that. There's action that's being required to be taken. we'll get into that, okay? But these communication pieces, they tie in. We have significant stuff going on with Sagittarius during this lunar cycle too. I'm not going to go super deep into all of that because I already went into it. And I just kind of want to outline all these connecting points. When we think of Gemini, we think of the other. We think of the twins, right? We think of the twins. We think of two sides. And we think of those two polarized sides as well. What else is very polarized when we're looking at Aries and we're looking at Libra, which is now the way that this is turned, okay? We did have Taurus that was in the North Node position last year. Taurus being one of the representations of the Empress, correct, in tarot, because being ruled by Venus. But there is another sign that also shares that distinction of the Empress that's also ruled by Venus, which is Libra. Libra is now in the South Node position, took over the South Node position from Scorpio. Okay, this is significant. All of this is significant. And I'm going to explain why. This is why I'm trying to show you visually with this circle, okay? So initially, we had Taurus in that North Node position, and the South Node was Scorpio. And then what happened is we had Taurus leave that position, and it got handed over to Aries, okay? And so we had a retrograde motion, okay? We had a retrograde motion. Oops, other way. We had a retrograde motion. Okay, here we go. In Faerie, everything is the upside down is also right side up. So let's see. I got to make sure I got it here. Okay, there we go. Oh, I'm looking at the other one. I was looking at Capricorn. Okay, so it goes this way. Okay, so Aries is now in that position. It traveled from Capricorn. Well, the Capricorn position on the cardinal cross, okay? It traveled from Capricorn, which in that position, in the North position, we still had Earth, okay? We still had Earth. Both are Earth element signs. You know, Capricorn is an Earth sign. Taurus is an Earth sign. So it's still operating on that cardinal cross. Taurus went retrograde. You know, the motion of the nodes went retrograde from Taurus, and it went back into Aries. Now the motion of Aries goes this way, feeds down into this quadrant, which is Cancer, okay? And that's significant because it's speaking of the cycle of manifestation, but it's because it's backwards. So it's so Faerie. It's so Faerie because it's not the way you would usually think about it. And yet what's interesting is in the beginning of the cycle, you know, we had this Capricorn supermoon, all right? The Capricorn supermoon, which kicked this off, the energy was moving into the energy of Libra, air, initiation. How do we know this? We know this because anytime we reach Earth in a cycle of manifestation, we hit the manifestation point. It's done. That cycle's done. And we know that this cycle was done because we had Taurus relieve that position of the North Node to Aries, okay? So now it's time to go through a whole new cycle of destiny. We go through these cycles many times. We gain the 4 jewels many times. They're like rites of passage. They're initiation points when we go on that hero's journey, just like in tarot that starts with the Fool and it travels through the whole major arcana to arrive at the beginning again, back at that 0 point. Back at that Aries point. We've been talking about this, right? That Aries 0 degrees manifestation point, which was in alignment with this shift in the nodes of destiny. So this is really kind of cool, potent stuff here. We have this come in. And this means that since this came to a closure, Aries took over this position. We start at the beginning point with Libra and South Node. Okay, now we're looking at a picture like this. Aries North Node, Libra down here in the South Quadrant, South Node. So our journey this round is to rise up out of our karma, out of that old karmic cycle. It's time to completely begin again, to balance the scales. It's also about balancing with the reflection, with the mirror, with the other. This is what Libra is all about. And who is Libra's other but Aries? Mars energy, Venus energy. So we have Empress here too. Okay, isn't this interesting? So in the last cycle, we have already had the journey, the full journey of that divine feminine energy, going from the very beginning up to rising up from that Scorpio South Node, which if you think of the Scorpio South Node, it's the dark feminine, okay? It's the subconscious. It's diving down into the depths. It is Persephone, who eats the pomegranate seeds to go and hang out with her boyfriend Hades, and does that dance with the devil in the pale moonlight, and then rises in the spring, transformed, rising up into that north node as core, as the empress, the birther of new things. But it was only the birth of a new cycle, because we know after every birth there is a whole new cycle to experience, and there's a closing of the old. So we still have the empress in play. It is the divine feminine that is going through a process of integration. And the process of integration that the divine feminine is going through is to come to a place of being able to feel protected, to feel held, to feel at that place of receptivity, to be able to rest in the arms, in the strength of the masculine. Because only once that happens is there able to be the birth of the new beginning. And I just almost saw that as like, I saw this image in my mind's eye of like, you know, when you're giving birth and the man is with you and he's supporting you and he's helping you breathe through it, you know, and that's how you give birth to this new being. It's this similar energy, only it's being birthed through you. Your new way forward, your destiny is being birthed through you. But in order for it to be able to happen, in order for that avenue to open up for you, so your creative energy can pour through, which is that point where you step into the inspiration of the musing energy and you claim your destiny. You step on your new timeline. You align with your purpose, which is aligning with your north node. You know, you need to be able to fall into that masculine. And this is not just speaking in terms of gender, okay? It's not speaking in terms of gender in that way, not in the terms of belief construct, okay? It's speaking in terms of principles. This is all about igniting also as well. We got to look at that South Node energy, Scorpio energy, the mysteries. It makes me think of mystery schools, and it makes me think of that energy of the high priestess, you know, that deep knowledge, the knowledge you have to dive real deep in, the occult knowledge, okay? It's bringing this knowledge to the surface, to the light as well. Alchemizing what is learned in the time in the dark, bringing it up to the light so it can be actualized through the magician, the coming together of that energy with the magician, which is Aries North Node, okay, to direct that wand with authority and to call the new beginning into being. That's what we're in right now, all right? And we actually just had Lunasaw, which was very much about the second jewel. But before we can unlock the potential and the power of the second jewel, we have to first address the first, which we will be doing in this drop-in together, okay? So each of these different jewels is associated with a different mystical city that they were obtained from, I see these cities really being associated with the particular cardinal sign that it's housed in. Okay, it's sort of a directional. It's sort of like a directional map, like a compass. You know, like a compass, only on an astrological level. Okay, this is how it's coming through for me. So Falius is the city of the north, okay? And it's associated with the Ace of Pentacles. This is the Ace is what I came to. This is my download. In the lore of the Tuatha De Dannan, Falius is a city that is associated with the north. It's a magical city. It's associated with the energy of earth when we're looking at it from Faerie tradition perspective, okay? And also in the cycle of manifestation. That's the actualization point, okay? Ace of Pentacles energy, that kind of energy. This Capricorn supermoon that came in on July 3rd was our Ace of Pentacles, all right? And so it opened up the seed, because aces are just a seed. They're a seed that you plant. They're not the end result. They can grow into something, but we don't really see what the seed grows into until we rise up into the north node of the seed that we planted, correct? It has to go through a full journey, just like we have to go through the full journey of the major arcana. We start at the full, right? But we don't finish till we get to the world. And then it's time to begin a new cycle again. So last go around when Taurus was in the north node, we already did that journey of the world. That's where we're meant to wrap it up now, right? And now we're stepping into a brand new cycle as the Fool, that Aries 0 point, the node shifting, okay? So the first jewel is the seed that came in. It's just the seed of it came in with this. It was the communication coming in that was amplified with that Sagittarius energy, that Jupiter energy. This is what this can grow into. It came through as that communication that you received, okay? Many of you received some kind of communication. Many of you received downloads. Many of you have been opening up on that level psychically. Some of you may have received important news, or maybe you just had a sudden inspiration, a sudden insight. That's that sword energy. That's that air sign energy. That's that Libra energy. And Gemini provided the avenue. It's really beautiful because it's like mirroring the twin type of energy, okay? Gemini provided that avenue with the Gemini axis to that Jupiter Sagittarius energy that came in with the full moon in June, provided that avenue for that super moon to bring in that seed of potential through the communication, the downloads, the inspiration that came in then. With that super moon that came in, all of you have had some kind of inspiration, something that you know that is meant for you, or you feel pulled in a certain direction. It was 33 on the clock when I said that. Again, big Empress energy, you know, coming into alignment with that Empress energy, so the Empress energy can come together with the avenue for that manifestation of what wants to be birthed through her, which comes through the masculine, which comes through the Emperor. All right, beautiful polarities here, right? But when we're looking at that Scorpio South node, okay, and when we're looking at the Taurus North node, the old cycle, the world, the closing of that, we're at that. It's done. We're in a brand new cycle now. It was the same trip, okay? You have the dichotomy of the High Priestess energy in that South node with Scorpio. You also have the death energy, right? And then on the converse side of that, you have this energy of life coming through the Empress in the Taurus North node that was operating back then. All right. And we know that a cycle of that has been completed because that energy, the death energy, what was hidden, what was beneath the surface, it rose up into that Taurus North node. Aha, I got the seed I need to plant. So that's what came through the last cycle. The gift we were given with this cycle is now I got that seed. Now I can plant it. That's what came in with that Capricorn supermoon. that we had on July 3rd, before the changing of the nodes of destiny. And then we hit the changing of the nodes. And we had that alignment between Aries North Node, Libra South Node. All right. So now we have something new that we need to rise up out of, right? We have to rise up out of Libra into Aries North Node. In order to rise up into that, we need to gain this jewel. We need to gain this jewel, this treasure, which is FRAGARACH, Answerer, Ace of Swords. Libra energy associated with the air element and east, the city of Findius, and the sword is called FRAGARACH. It's the sword of NUADA. NUADA is like the deity that rules over this particular gift. Each of the gifts, the treasures, the jewels, has a deity associated with it. And this particular deity is associated with NUADA. And I'm going to bring in some other associations in a moment here, okay? Because I want to just speak of how there's interrelation between all cultures, all belief systems, with what I'm bringing in here. It's a connecting point for all of us. And I love this because FRAGARACH is the answer. That's what FRAGARACH means. It means answer. And this particular sword, which is the sword of NUADA, it has the power to speak the truth, to have what is not wanting to be revealed. When we think of that Scorpio South Node, that's all about secrecy, right? But we grokked that medicine. We went through that cycle. We rose up into the Taurus North Node. We're now in the Aries North Node. We have a new vantage point. We have a new focal point. We have a new star that we're focusing our awareness on. This star requires us to use the spear of Lu, which is to marry the thought, the inception, the inspiration, that seed that we received from rising up into the Taurus North Node, and to actually plant it. Plant it. That's what the Capricorn supermoon on July 3rd asked us to do in this cycle. Well, you need to plant your seed soon and take action to plant it soon. And the reason being for that is that we just had the supermoon that closed the end of that cycle. Full moons are culmination points. So what that seed that you received on that supermoon, okay, back on July 3rd, all right, it's a seed that is the seed of your destiny. It's the seed that is meant to grow and come to full fruition in the cycle within these 4 jewels, these 4 supermoons. It's one seed that is meant to go through a whole journey, much like you already went through. But what's really interesting is in a much more condensed period of time, because unlike the cycle we just closed, you will be stepping into your destiny to actually embody it and begin walking down that path as the Fool. When we hit the September 29th supermoon in Aries, where the journey begins again, you know, it's the initiation point, initiation gateway. These 4 jewels are like keys that unlock the gate to get to the other side, to actually cross the bridge and get to the point where you are living out your destiny. And it's interesting because when we look at Capricorn, when we look at the North Node, what is that destiny? What is that destiny when you plant that seed? What is it destined to grow into being by the end of this cycle? Once you marry the energy of the sword with the spear of Lu, I see that as the wand. You know, we think of a spear, you know, it's got the wood, but it's got the, you know, metal tip. It's very much like arrow energy too, right? Very Sagittarian energy, like shoot your shot, hit the mark. You got to take action. I love like the parallels and the way that energy plays off one another, but it's also a marrying of fire and air energy with that spear of Lu. Lu is the Sun King. Lu is associated with that fire element. Lu was very proficient in many crafts, but he was very much known for his arts in being able to do blacksmithing. And when we're looking at smithing, we are looking at alchemy. We are looking at taking base lead and transmuting it into something altogether new. And that's what we're in the process of doing. So this is the one that we're working with right now. What came in, the inception, the seed, because we know in the cycle of manifestation, first we draw down inspiration from ether, akasha, spirit, God, goddess, Atman, higher consciousness, your muse, whatever you want to call it. It's all the same trip. You draw down the inspiration. On a physical level, you breathe in, you inspire. That's what it means to breathe. It means to inspire. And when you breathe life into something, you have this initial inspiration. You gain what? You gain an idea. Something arises in the imagination. You get an idea. But that seed that came forward, that idea that came forward for you, this communication that came forward for you from the spirit, from your higher consciousness, with that supermoon that came in Capricorn, that brought in the opening of this journey to questing for these jewels. These jewels are the wisdom of the Gaelic people. These jewels are the wisdom of the Tuatha De Dannan, and they unlock keys of empowerment that allow you to alchemize all that base lead of the soul and turn it into gold, turn it into fields of gold, turn it into blessings, blessings that feeds the many, not just you. It's just this beautiful journey that we're all on together in this process, but we each hold our own individual part in it as we're moving through this cycle. And so with this, we are looking at FRAGARACH, answer. We're looking at Ace of Swords energy. With Ace of Swords energy, we are looking at acknowledging the truth that we're aware of. Once we are aware of the truth, there is only one thing left to do, and that is to act on the truth. And for some of you, this may require a very significant communication, something you need to bring forward through your communication, maybe bringing your voice forward, exercising your voice forward in the world more, bringing your piece in, contributing. We had this come in with Aquarius. We're looking at that dawning of the Aquarian age. And it's all about how we communicate with each other and how we connect with each other on the World Wide Web. And understanding it's also a web of creation, and it's bringing forward our new direction. And every bit that we contribute to it, it matters. It's significant because we're the web weavers of the world. There's a cosmic web of creation. I brought this in too on one of my previous downloads. It came in around the Great Attractor, right? Check out that Great Attractor read. I talk all about the cosmic web of creation in that. But it's also very much rooted and connected to the web of creation that's here on the earthly plane, here through the World Wide Web. We're weaving a world too, and it's significant. And we can use this as a powerful tool of connectivity and creativity, or we can use it in destructive ways, which is always the channel. And that, ooh, is always the channel. Is always the channel. You know, when I think of the masculine, it is a channel, it is a avenue, it is the way through for the feminine to come on through. But the feminine can't be charging ahead. The feminine has to let the masculine open up that way. So there is a place for the feminine to manifest through. That's what Aries North Node is here to do, here to open the way through for the Empress. here to open the way through for that energy that was initially the high priestess. Big mama energy, big mama energy. And it's very interesting because the high priestess is symbolic of Cancer, is symbolic of Cancer and Pisces. Pisces shares it as well. Pisces also shares energy with Sagittarius in terms of they share a ruler, Jupiter. Pisces' other ruler is Neptune, which is of course associated with the water element. And we do have a water moon coming up. And this water moon, the action of that is actually everything that's going on astrologically at that time due to the precession of the equinoxes is really going down in Cancer, okay? But this moon that's coming in, this supermoon in Pisces, right? So there's that mirroring energy, okay? The Gemini energy, that mirroring energy. It's coming in Pisces, okay? That Cancer energy, that mama energy, it's there. It's there in that Pisces energy, but it's also there with the father. And this is where we get the merging of the energies. Stick with me, okay? Stick with me. Normally, Cancer would be associated with the West, okay? We're looking at it from a different vantage point than how you would normally see it, right? This is why I brought this in. This is our current vantage point, okay? So, you know, you'll see here is Cancer hanging out in the West. We got Aries in the North. We got Libra in the South. And then we got Capricorn over there in the East, okay? There's a changing of positions. You'll also notice the way the cycles feed into each other. We had the ending of the old cycle in Capricorn, and it moves clockwise into Libra to move Libra into the South Node position, all right? But it runs counterclockwise from Aries into Cancer. And there's a reason for this. There's a reason for this. The reason being is that once we hit this point of this third supermoon, which comes in Pisces, it's a blue moon. Once in a blue moon, okay? It is that significant. It's like the building of these energies are coming together. The building of the energies are coming together, the clockwise with the counterclockwise, and they all meet here in the cauldron of Dagda, all right? And a cauldron is used for transformation. Now we get things cooking. It's the alchemical point. It's also when you think of that, you think of the opposites, you think of the fire, the water, the masculine, the feminine, okay? And it lines up that this is also, you know, that high priestess energy, okay? This is the point where the high priestess really gets activated in that cauldron with that fuel from the fire that comes in from the Aries North Node. Why? Because the Aries point is associated with Lu. We just had that with Lunasaud, and it's all about working with the spear of Lu. I'm going to go into each of these jewels individually, but I'm giving an overview. This is going to be a pretty deep download, okay? It's going to take some time for me to get this in for all of you, but I really wanted to give this the time that's needed for it. It's important. This is a big download. So we know that the air energy is South Node. We need to gain this. I'm trying to get background to why I'm going to go into FRAGARACH specifically, okay? This sword of NUADA. We're going into this first because this sword, okay, that's in the South Node, this air energy, it has to rise up and be transformed. There's a karma that needs to be balanced out. And this karma involves exercising that sword of FRAGARACH, all right? But what's interesting is if we can do this, which is what we're being called to do, think of it as condensed timeline. There's a lot happening with time right now. Normally, we would play out this cycle in a year. We're not. We're playing this out in a condensed timeline. This is probably why so much of the collective feels like pressurized, okay? Because it feels very big. Everything feels movie size. It's because it is. It's because it is. You're on a hero's quest. You're being called to activate that hero spirit. It's the hero's journey. Look into that, Joseph Campbell. It's significant right now, okay? It's that hero's journey. It's when you have to call forward your fire. You have to own your fire. And we just moved through that here as a community. And that's what it's about. It's about owning your fire, where you take that seed, okay, that came in with you, with that Capricorn supermoon, that seed that you've been looking at, that you've been building a vision around as you've been moving through this lunar cycle that led up to the supermoon that we just had on the 1st in Aquarius, that also married air and fire energy, right? Aquarius supermoon. Aquarius is air energy. But it happened on Lunacy, which is associated with fire. Air feeds fire. What does fire do? Fire moves into action. It's time to act by planting that seed, which means taking the first step, shooting a shot, shooting for the moon, once in a blue moon. You just might hit it, and it comes in here. Now, I want to talk about something with this masculine principle, feminine principle polarity, talking about the magician as representing Aries, talking about that initial journey of the dark feminine, okay, being brought into that light that happened with the Scorpio South Node. Right now we're on the rise, right? Now we're on the rise, because now that energy has changed from the High Priestess. It's rised up. It's now has the potential, has the seed of potential to actually manifest as core, really birth that harvest, that abundance with that super moon that comes in with that Aries. Again, rising up to the North Node, right? Rising up to the North Node, which is the promise that was planted with the Capricorn supermoon, but doesn't come to fruition until we've gone through the first cycle. And we rise up in that North Node position again. And when we arrive there, we see the fruition of that as a harvest, okay? And it's the harvest, and it's the abundance of support, and it's the avenue, and it's everything we need to support us in stepping forward into our destiny. It's everything that is needed for the Empress to give birth to the new beginning, for core to be manifest. It's that energy. It's that energy building. We got to take an action, though. We got to shoot a shot. And when the magician is ready to birth the new way, birth the new beginning, there's actually, in many traditions, there is something called the Great Rite in Faerie. It's a ritual. It's a symbolic ritual, but it perfectly ties into this. You'll see it often. Okay, I love this, because this is like, oh, do I have something I can use? I do. This is perfect. This is perfect. Okay. You can think of this as a cauldron. You can also think of it as the ace that comes in with the blue moon in Pisces on the 31st of August. It's an Ace of Cups. What we just got with the super moon that we had come in on, we just had that super moon come in on, when did it come in here? See, I'm glad I wrote it all down, because now I'm going down the rabbit hole. This is why it's good to have a map, right? It was the supermoon that came in on the 1st. See? So we had that supermoon come in on the 1st. That's when the air energy, that seed that came in, the promise of the fulfillment of La Flamme, which is the stone of destiny. All right. That's what we arrive at when we do the full completion, because it will be the merging of the masculine and the feminine, the avenue and the way, and the birth of the new beginning, us rising up into our destiny, our brand new cycle through completing the whole journey, the world, all right, that started all the way back with Taurus and Scorpio. And now we are coming to the full cycle completion of it, which will coincide with the full cycle of Kali Yuga. Because once we have this happen and we go this complete cycle with Aries North Node, Libra South Node, we reach the end of the Kali Yuga and we enter the birth of a new beginning, the age of Aquarius. So it's really beautiful symbolism. But here's that energy just to help you see it in a physical way, in a visceral way, because I feel like there's so much about it that needs to be seen visually to understand it. 55:55 on the clock. And that's another piece that's very important to this, because when we're looking at the fire energy, we're also looking at vision, okay? Seeing it, but not just seeing it, but being it, acting on it, and bringing the vision to life, animating it, okay? Very interesting energy here. But when we're looking at something like this, when we're looking at a wand, look, we have the energy of the sword there, right? We have the wand there. This is a spear, right? It contains both the air and it contains the fire element, and it can direct the vision with the power of thought, intention, and action, okay? Also, you can use a spear to penetrate something, right? Or to cut a way through. And that's what this energy is. Now, in terms of the great rite, often a goblet will be used. You can also view this as a cauldron. It's the same kind of energy. It represents the feminine. It represents the divine feminine. It represents the empress. It represents the high priestess. It represents the creative force. And the masculine descends, okay? They draw down, they meet together. And this is how you get the birthing of new worlds. It's symbolic of the joining of the masculine and the feminine that seeds new life. And we go through this process when we're on this journey from a spiritual perspective. We go through this process through coming to the divine masculine and the divine feminine within ourselves. And we know this with the key there in Aries, because Aries is about that selfhood. Aries is about the initiator. You take that step on an initiatory pathway alone. And along the way of this particular journey, you come into alignment with the other, the reflection of that divine masculine, that divine feminine in another, because you both hold those pieces in alignment within yourself. There's this piece that's coming through very strongly. It has been for a long time. I've been talking about it, but I didn't really understand it up until now, about soulmates really coming in strongly with this changing of the nodes of destiny. And it's not just accidental, because I was talking about how there's all of these different deities are associated with each of the cities, and you'll learn about each of the cities and you'll learn about each of the deities and all of that as we go through this series of readings. This is just the first one. And I don't know, I might have to just touch on FRAGARACH. I don't know, we'll see. Let's just write it out, we'll see. We'll see how much time I have to work with here. Time is an interesting thing right now, but I'm going to just continue to go with this as it feels right. But I could see how this could be such an elaborate download. I mean, I can go forever on this thread, and I hope you all enjoy going on journeys like this, like I do. But I love to be exposed to new things, and I love to explore things in the outer limits, you know. I like to expand my consciousness. I like to find threads of connection. I like to find puzzle pieces. I like to gather keys, one on the clock, all the way across the board. Woo! And I feel like this is what this is. I feel like this is a key to manifesting our destiny. And I feel like there's a seed of this that came in with that Capricorn supermoon on July 3rd. And it has the potential to open up a whole new doorway, to our destiny and actualizing it, actually stepping into it and living out our destiny when we arrive at that North Node, position in Aries on this journey, when we come full circle with the supermoon on the 29th. And I love it because it's that alignment energy, right? Well, associated with that North Node, the deity associated with that North Node is Danu. It is Danu. And Danu is the birther of gods, right? The birther of gods. You may wonder what that means, birther of gods. Well, here we come full circle from where I first started out. Do you see how this energy is? It's like you can just go down a rabbit hole with it. You can go way out there. You can get tripped up on it. That's a bit what Faerie is like. It takes you on a ride, but everything about the journey and even the hardships and the challenges, which is much like a fairy tale, it all brings a certain medicine. It hones a certain skill. And when you hone these skills, when you gain this medicine, that's when you gain the jewel and you can unlock its power to head on the next stage of the journey, head toward that next moon and that next moon's gifts. It's really cool. But Danu has a counterpoint. Danu has a counterpoint. She has a mirror. She actually created her mirror. It's said in fairy tradition that first there was goddess, there was Danu, and Danu was the primordial mother. And this is really beautiful because on the blue supermoon, we have that Cancer energy really presiding. Mama's holding it down, okay? Mama's holding it down. But we also got father energy there. We got father energy there because the jewel that comes in at that full moon, that full supermoon, the blue moon in Pisces, that high priestess energy, it comes in through the cauldron of Dagda. And Dagda is considered very much like a father god type of energy, a very earthy energy too, very much of the earth, very much salt of the earth. So you got salt of the earth. I think of the ocean, when I think of the cauldron of creation, when I think of the mother energy, I think of the ocean, salt of the earth. It's like the earth and the water come together at that point of that blue moon. And that is what really nurtures that seed so it can grow. And it's through the merging of that masculine and feminine energy, just like that great bright, using that spear of Lu, which is the bringing together of the air and fire energies to impregnate the water energy of the Ace of Cups, to bring this new beginning that opens our hearts to a new potential. And when we think of the Ace of Cups, we see this image of an Ace of Cups just overflowing, just the waters flowing, overflowing, inexhaustible. Spirit pours in from above. The cup fills, it spills over, it waters the land, things grow from the earth, it feeds all, and it's just a continual, beautiful, reciprocal flow of abundance, big harvest energy. Well, it's the same thing with the cauldron of Dagda. The cauldron of Dagda is inexhaustible. It feeds all. It's overflowing. It never empties. It's that statement of may you never thirst, may you never hunger. It provides. It provides. The Father provides. It's Dagda's cauldron. The Father provides. And all that water energy needs to do, all that mama energy needs to do is just allow herself to fall into that cauldron of creation, to be held in that space of the Father's cauldron. And then we get cooking. Then we get cooking. And what we get cooking at that time, what we start nurturing at that time with that cauldron of creation, which is that third jewel of that third supermoon, it really creates something. It births a new beginning that nourishes us, feeds us, roots us, grounds us, has us stepping into the manifestation of that harvest of that and our new beginnings. This is like such a beautiful journey of alchemy and transformation. And it's all a journey of unification collectively, that collective cauldron, but also within ourselves. Also within ourselves, in our self-alchemy work we're doing, where we're really unifying the avenue, the way, and the creative potential within ourselves. It's so, so, so beautiful of an energy. So we do have our seed, and our seed is something that we arrived at. Our seed is something that we arrived at, you know, within this cycle. We know, all of us at this point know our truth. We know our core truth. We also all know what we feel compelled to do, even if we don't know how all the pieces fit, how exactly it all comes together. We all know what we're being pulled to do. We all know what our yes is. We all know that thing that's like burning bright in our souls, that thing we long for, that wish, that dream, that seed we want to plant and we want to see it grow. We all know what that is. And so right now, in order to really take full advantage of this opportunity on offer, which is to gain the jewel of FRAGARACH, the answer, we have to first really be prepared to act, because you cannot act. You cannot act until and use that. You cannot use the power of FRAGARACH until you act. It's like, it's interesting because for a while, remember, I've been having like the sword and the stone come through. And I was like, what is this about? The sword and the stone, you know, this kind of Excalibur kind of vibe. Well, I mean, it really is the same thing. It's the same thing with FRAGARACH. You have to be able to act decisively with integrity, great strength, great decisiveness, very much like that Libra energy. Think judgment. Think judgment and think of Gabriel blowing his horn, you know. Judgment is associated with Libra, but in the blowing of the horn, in the sound that arrives on the airwaves from Gabriel's trumpet, it's still calling for action. It's a call to action. And you cannot use the power of FRAGARACH, which is to answer any question and get the truth, until first you take the action of pulling the sword from the stone being that seed, the Capricorn North Node, the potential, that North Node potential of rising up into that North Node of Aries. If we take the action and we merge the air with the fire and we use the spear of Lu to shoot our shot toward that moon, that blue moon in Pisces, the mama Cancer is holding down, that cauldron of creation that the Father wants to provide for the avenue, for the transformation to happen, the transformation, the alchemy work of the dark feminine, the high priestess, rising up into the evolution of that now Libra energy, which is also the Empress, to merge with the Emperor, Aries North Node. to merge that high priestess with the magician, which is also Aries North Node, to come into that unification point where the manifestation happens. As emperor, empress, holding court, as magician, as high priestess, alchemized, unified, merged as one, the destiny activated, which is when we rise up into that sovereignty. The sovereignty, when you're aligned with your mind, your thought, your words, your actions, your intuition, your spirit, your emotions, your creativity, your healing. And it all gives birth in that North Node, Aries point, these masculine, feminine energies, these polarized, once polarized energies, really seeing there is no separation. That is the truth. That is the unification. That is the truth that allows you to pull the sword from the stone and use its power to act. It requires that sovereignty, where now that you know your truth, you can't deny it. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. You have to follow through with action and decisively. That's what's required at this point. Now, FRAGARACH, it's said that once someone draws FRAGARACH, okay, you got to pull it out. You got to pull it out of that stone, right? That earth energy. You have to pull it out of that seed of potential. You can't just take the seed and hold on to it, grip onto it. If you don't release it through action, planting the seed, actually planting the seed, nothing's going to grow from it. The opportunity is wasted. You don't get the jewel. You don't get the sword of NUADA. You don't get FRAGARACH. You don't have the answer to your truth. You don't gain the ability to be unconquerable, which is what FRAGARACH provides you. Because once you're in alignment with the truth, and once you are decisive and you are ready to take decisive action, the Knight of Swords energy, there's no stopping you. Once you align with your truth, once you align with the inspiration, what has set you on fire, there's no stopping you. Once you own your fire and you take that inspiration of the sword of FRAGARACH and you marry it with that promise, it's another seed. It's an Ace of Wands. This is what you're being asked to do now. Take action with that fire. If you take action, you shoot your shot based on what you know to be true for you, which you know your soul is calling you to do. When you heard that call, you heard it on the airwaves, Gabriel's trumpet blowing in judgment, it's time for you to execute justice. Libra South Node energy, that balancing point where what? The heart is lighter than the feather. The heart is lighter than the feather. We're meant to move into the heart. That's what exercising that energy, exercising loose spear is all about, using that fire to act decisively, to follow our hearts, to go in the direction our spirit's calling us, to shoot the shot, to shoot for that blue moon in Pisces, going down in that constellation of Cancer, that mama energy. It's like an impregnating energy. It births the new beginning. There's the unification point. You got to plant the seed, because only then can that water energy, that Pisces energy, that mama energy, that big daddy Dagda energy can really get things cooking and nourish that seed so it can grow. It requires you to have the courage to pull that seed out, which is taking the action with FRAGARACH, to act on your truth, to live from your truth. It's very potent. Once you do that, you'll take the action. You'll marry the energy of air and fire, Libra and Aries. And Aries takes the initiative and in the form of Lu, pulls back. You can think of it as an arrow if you want. I'm going to shoot the shot. I'm going to hedge my bets. I'm going to take my chances. Very Jupiter energy, very Sagittarian energy, which is the full moon that, you know, closed out the old cycle, right? Before we headed into these supermoons. It's like, oh yeah, I thought about shooting a shot back then. Now I'm really ready. Okay. It's shooting that shot, shooting for the moon and knowing you're going to hit it because it's going to come down. It's going to come down. It's going to come down into that cauldron of creation, and those energies are going to meet, and it will birth the avenue, the new way forward, and you will see your harvest come rising up into that Aries North node with that final fourth jewel, which is the Stone of Destiny. The Stone of Destiny that only cries out in the song of ecstasis, which is that one note that reverberates through all of creation, that the way opens for you. It's an initiatory gateway, and it brings you into alignment with your destiny. And many of you are uniting with a very significant soulmate. I feel very strongly that everybody is igniting their path forward with this energy that's building up to that moon, to that blue moon in Pisces on the 31st. Everybody is igniting their pathway, like they're burning away the old pathway and they're lighting the way forward for what is to be the new beginning. And a lot of you, it's about you really coming into alignment with the mirror. A lot of you are coming into union, you know, with the person that you're meant to be in union with. For some of you, this is happening romantically. And certainly we have that at the forefront with Libra in the South Node. But this is also about any important marriages, unions, mergers. Some of you are coming together with teachers, mentors. Some of you are coming together with a whole new path of study, a whole new path of the work you're bringing forward in the world. And it's being birthed from an inspired place, a creative place, a collective place. It's a broader vision. You're stepping up into something more, something that inspires you, something you can connect with emotionally, something that's in integrity for you. It's a really beautiful, beautiful energy. And that's the only way that you can pull that sword from the stone and gain the sovereignty, is acting in alignment with your integrity and your truth. And then you will be unconquerable. So this is what we're really being asked to do right now. We're being asked to use the truth to act, the truth that we know deep in our hearts, to take the action, to shoot our shot, so we can see it nurtured and come together in the reflection of the avenue, the way through, that will be the once in a blue moon opportunity presented to us that comes through with that supermoon in Pisces on the 31st. Then mama gets it cooking with daddy Dagda. And something beautiful is born, okay? Something beautiful is born that brings a real big harvest. And I love that, you know, we got that September 29th supermoon in Aries that really closes this full circle, this journey of the four jewels. Comes in on that 29 energy, you know, it's the two coming together, ending the old cycle. The two become one. 11, You know, it's that 11 energy. The two that were once separate become one. They come together. This is you becoming one with your path. This is you becoming one within yourself. It's that the twin energy of the Gemini, like actualized, that came in with that closing of the old cycle on that axis of Sagittarius. It's the promise of that. What happens when that energy becomes unified? You know, again, that's air, fire, air, fire. You know, the air, fire coming together to get things cooking, you know, takes air to feed the fire, that gets things cooking in the cauldron, that gets those waters bubbling, that cooks up something that's inexhaustible, that will feed many, that will nourish many, that will nurture many, and will nurture your soul, you know, feed you, fulfill you. It's your Ace of Cups, you know, it's your Ace of Cups that has you rising up into that North Node of Aries on the 29th, where you actually get to receive, you know, the destiny of the seed you plant now. Only it's on like fast forward. It's on fast forward because we're meant to start really living out our destinies now, because we got work to do. There's work to do to carry us into the age of Aquarius. There's work to do. There's work we got to do. It's time to birth those new beginnings. We can't just like dream about it anymore. We're not meant to sort through, you know, the process of like tilling the soil and, you know, tending to germinating the seeds and all of that. No, now stuff is supposed to be sprouting out of the ground, growing, feeding others, nourishing others. It's a really beautiful energy. So, I just wanted to tap in and pull some cards on this, okay? I know that's a lot. I know that's a lot. And there's so much more I could go into with this. But I feel like right now it's just enough, you know, to give enough background. We'll learn more about each of the individual jewels. But I feel this is very fitting and appropriate to bring in that first jewel that we're in a quest for. You can only obtain the power of FRAGARACH that will allow you to merge it with the fire and the Spear of Lu that gives you the power of the Ace of Wands to take action with it, okay? You can only gain it once you act decisively on your truth. You cannot act. You cannot act and create a way forward for yourself until you're acting from a place of acting from your truth. It takes integrity. It takes integrity, clarity, decisiveness, clear thought, and action to pull the sword from the stone and to actually activate the seed potential that is there. I mean, you certainly can hold yourself back in a karmic cycle being weighed up in the South Node, which I can tell you as somebody that is a 5 placement Libra stellium, all in the first house of Aries. You don't want to get stuck doing time in the halls of justice. It's not an easy journey. It's not. It's not an easy journey to be the balancing point, to hold that down, to have that responsibility, to be in the hot seat. Okay. This piece, the hot seat, very interesting. The hot seat, well, it will be a hot seat once it rises up into the North Node in Aries, okay? That is that point of alchemy, you know, when that water energy will rise. Because we see there's the polarities. This is the way these energies relate to each other too, even on the cardinal cross, okay? We got, you know, Capricorn descendant is Cancer. Okay, and so that Capricorn descendant in Cancer, you know, that Earth, they're interrelated. They're in relationship with each other. Earth and water need each other. Air and fire need each other. You know, it's through maintaining this that we have our seasonal flow. You know, and all things come into balance. You know. There's this cycle of creation. It's very interesting to me because I always look at cross-cultural references. but just the way it looks, it reminds me also of the medicine shield, you know. The medicine shield makes me think of, you know, the Comanche, my Comanche ancestry. Makes me think of that shield. It also makes shield, Ace of Pentacles. It's been coming in for me. Do you see? It's like all these points that have been coming in on the downloads are intersecting with this. It's really wild to me. It's really wild to me. It's so interesting to me. But what I want to bring in here, we know that Danu, okay, Danu is the fulfillment of these jewels. Danu is what unlocks that destiny, okay? Danu is that stone of destiny, the Leofael. That's why the stone of destiny is shrouded in such mystery, because nobody knows Danu's origins. Nobody knows everything about Danu. There will always be something about Danu, the primordial mother, that remains a mystery, much like that Scorpio South Node energy, right? It's really kind of beautiful. It's like the highest exaltation, like drawing down the moon kind of energy of Danu. But Danu has a mythos of her own that really plays into this cycle we're moving through. Danu, being the primordial mother, you know, was in this creative place and was enjoying for a while. This is the mythos. This is the story unfolding. Was enjoying for a while, creating the cosmos and, you know, just sort of painting her visions on the canvas of the multiverse, and she was enjoying that. But there came a point when Danu began to crave a reflection. She craved to be able to actually see herself, to be able to see herself in another. And so this is why she's called birther of gods. Danu gave birth to Dianeglis. And Dianeglis is known by many different names. It's the masculine principle, the other half of Danu, the reflection of Danu. It's like the mirror for Danu is Dianeglis. It's the masculine aspect of herself as lover. And it's the same alchemical journey that we're all going through on this journey of the Tuatha De Dannan. It's an alchemical journey to rise as that point of creator within ourselves, to be able to have the ability to alchemize our emotional experiences, our mental thoughts, our inspirations, our outward experiences, the relationships we have with others, and to come from a place of birthing a new beginning where we've come to a place of unification of those energies. We're not in a place of division anymore. That's the opportunity, and that's what we're being asked to do. And we're at the halfway point with this journey. We're just at the halfway point right now. Air, fire. Okay? We're at the halfway point right now, because that's what Lughnasadh marked. It marked the cross quarter. It marked the halfway point between summer solstice, fire, okay, and fall equinox. Fall, interestingly enough, in Ayurveda is associated with air element, Libra. So I love the way these energies are like combining with each other. You know, that is the cross quarter point, that air fire merging together. It's the cross quarter point that came in with Lammas. But what we want to see is that harvest, right? And the harvest comes through the marrying of the masculine and the feminine, which is the earth and water energies. Earth, masculine, water, feminine. You can look at it as divine masculine polarity, divine feminine polarity, God, goddess. You know, it's all of these. It's all of these being exemplified, but I'm going to use Dianeglis because Dianeglis is called by many different names in Faerie tradition. there's so many different names, because much like Danu, he is a reflection of the primordial mother. So it's that one note of ecstasis that reverberates through all of creation, that one note that is the one energy, which is the truth, the truth we need to act from, to use that as our guide, to be decisive as we weigh out our karma. Are we acting from that point of unity consciousness? That is the power to be exercised with FRAGARACH, because FRAGARACH is the answerer. FRAGARACH is the truth. FRAGARACH is that balancing point of the scales of Libra. FRAGARACH is that Ace of Swords that's being held up by the Queen of Swords, by the King of Swords, in air sign collective Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. And look how all three have come together at this point. To be able to marry that truth, to exercise sound judgment and make the judgment call. I now know what to do. I now know what's true for me. I know what I need to cut off and release. I know what I need to step forward in. I need to step forward in my truth. I need to embody my truth. I need to speak my truth. I need to live my truth. I need to communicate from a place of truth and integrity. That's what allows you to activate the seed of destiny that came in as that potential with the Capricorn supermoon that kicked off this cycle. And then you move that into action by speaking your truth, by communicating it, by making your statement, by speaking it into existence. And in doing so, you move it into action. You fuel it with your fire, with the spear of Lu, which is the marrying of the wand energy with the sword energy. That's when you shoot your shot, right? That's when you shoot your shot. And that's what births the new beginning, by the fire, the air coming together and impregnating the masculine, the feminine coming together. Aries, Libra, Mars, Venus coming together in what? Jupiter energy, water energy, Neptune energy, moon energy, supermoon energy. We know this. Sagittarius shooting the shot. That's an action. It's the archer energy. Jupiter at the forefront in this lunar cycle. We know it brings blessing if we have the courage. If we have the courage to shoot the shot. We know that it brings blessing. It brings tremendous blessing. It brings a big harvest. This is what's promised. The stone of destiny. Having yourself filled with the abundance of Danu. Danu is also dichotomous. Danu is associated with the waters, okay? Danu is associated with the well. Danu is associated with the cauldron. Danu is associated with all the waters of the earth, much like many other primordial creatrix goddesses in every tradition on the book. I have traced Danu to Hindu goddesses of the river. I have traced Danu, who is also a river goddess, to Yoruba tradition with the Orisha Oshun, who is a creatrix, who is the only creatrix, feminine creatrix energy in the Oromale. And I'm not going to go into a lot of description about that because it's not my place. It's not my place. I'm here to share my ancestral wisdom with you, what I have to share from my ancestral bloodline. I highly encourage you, as you explore other traditions, other cultures, spiritual beliefs and backgrounds, I encourage you to explore. It helps you find points of connection. It helps make our world a little bit smaller, where we start really realizing we're not so far apart. There isn't so much division. These are unification points. This is how we weave the web of creation together, by understanding that we really are working with only one energy. And Dianeglis is said to be blue. She pulled Dianeglis from her body. Danu didn't want to feel so alone, not even understanding herself. Like, she wanted to understand herself. And so Danu gave birth to Dianeglis through her and pulled him from her as like a mirror to gaze upon. The masculine, the divine masculine. They call him the blue god. There's many names for him. I want to bring in the many different names for him in many different fairy traditions, because I feel like some of it is very archetypal imagery that may speak to you. It may unlock something in your conscious memory of your Akashic records. I don't know why that's coming through, but it feels like that. It feels like so much is coming through archetypal imagery at this time that can really activate keys for us, that can help us open up doors that lead us to new empowerments through gaining the wisdom, the empowerments of each of these 4 jewels of the Tuatha De Dannan. So Dianeglis, the masculine, that is, here is associated with the mirror for Capricorn. Okay. We know that there is a mirror for Danu. When Danu is in the earthly aspect, Danu is that Empress energy, but she also has a water energy. She has a very, very much like a water bearer energy. She's associated with an inexhaustible vessel of water, usually seen as like a basin that she holds, that feeds all the waters, that pours all the waters forth, that nurtures the lands, that causes everything to grow, to birth to new beginnings, as that Empress energy. It's all her. Even the masculine is her. It's all one energy. So she's pouring forth her waters with that Ace of Cups through Dagda's cauldron. Okay. And it's like she's wanting to have reunion. She's not, the thing is that once she pulled Dianeglis from her, she was sad because she no longer felt the union. They made love. They birthed new things into being. That's how we have the Tuatha De Dannan. This is the mythos. This is how we have the Tuatha De Dannan. They were born in the north. They were born in this magical land in the north. No one knows how they arrived. No one knows where they're from. But we know they gained certain magics through traveling from different cities, these different cities that align with these cardinal points. And then there's these gifts that they bring together that activate the stone of destiny, which is all about rising up into that north node where we find Danu. So this is a journey. When we get that once in a blue moon, it is very much like a date with destiny. It's an opportunity for that mama energy to merge with daddy and rise on up. That Empress energy to rise on up. That High Priestess to rise on up. And for Magician, High Priestess, Emperor, Empress, in a beautiful act of alchemy to be unified in the North Node. It is Danu calling Dianeglis back to her. Because once she separated from him, she wanted to see her reflection in another. She got lonely. Danu got lonely. This is the mythos. She got lonely. She loved creating all these beautiful things, but she wanted to see her reflection in another, so she could have another to relate to. And so they could create together. And so this is very much a journey of her calling him home, calling him home, calling him back. This is a story of the mythos of Danu and her reflection. It's really beautiful. And I will do a separate reading all on that, because it's all about the masculine, feminine, divine masculine, divine feminine. It will help you understand it, and how it's really a metaphor for the act of alchemy itself, the creative power, and how you can embody that and no longer feel a sense of division within yourself. It's this like beautiful alchemy point, really understanding what this means, these principles of masculine, feminine, divine masculine, divine feminine, what it really means. And it has nothing to do with ego, I will tell you that. It has absolutely nothing to do with ego. It's actually the quite opposite of it. It's realizing that there is no separation. It's unity. It's all one, because it's only when we bring masculine, feminine polarity together, the avenue and the creative force, that we actually birth new things into being. So this is really a very potent, very beautiful energy. And it's that journey of the goddess being reunited and unified with the God. And within you, as you being a reflection of that, as you being a reflection of that. Danu and Dionysus gave birth through their coming together, through their love making. They gave birth to the Tuatha De Dannan. They gave birth to the gifts of being in this garden of earthly delight. And so this is really a story of Danu calling parts of herself back to herself, so she can really come in to the truth of her sovereignty, which is when she's really unified with her God. It's really a beautiful tale. It is a tale as old as time. And it makes me understand why the imagery has been coming through the way that it's been coming through. And I mean, there's been so much comes through, but I want you to connect with these archetypal images that are associated with Dionysus. He's known as Lord of the Painted Fan, Living Rainbow, Winged Serpent, True Bird of Paradise, Flower King, Nine-Spotted Serpent in the Well, Singer in the Wood, Light of the World, Self-Fire, which so made me think of Own Your Fire. And we just closed that up, and Own Your Fire. We were at that point. It's about taking action, and it is action time, okay? Soul of Humanity, God Self, Peacock Angel. I love Peacock Angel because the peacock feather makes me think of Oshun, and I love Oshun. And that brings me back to that piece that I trailed away from for a minute, which is if you want to learn about different cultural traditions, spiritual traditions, and I encourage you to do so, go to the source. I'm thinking of that water energy with Danu. I'm thinking of that Cancer energy that is the opposite of that Capricorn in the cardinal cross. I'm thinking of that cauldron of Dagda. You know, go to the source, tap the source. I have to bring it in. There's another beautiful, wise elder. I can't sing her praises enough. Louisa Tish. I hear so much misinformation. I have to tell you, there is so much misinformation in the tarot community that is propaganda that is being perpetuated about Yoruba tradition, Orishas, Voodoo tradition. It is disrespectful. It is dishonoring. It is a lie. It's a lie. It's a lie. And I really encourage you to not just buy into Hollywood versions, stereotypes, what's been presented to you, this false narrative about the one heartbeat that runs through all, that song of ecstasis that really truly is reflected and expressed through cultures all over the globe in all different traditions. It's so important that you understand the truth of the beauty of these traditions and that we don't lose this wild wisdom and also this understanding. I feel like this is so important at this time. If we're to have transformation, we have to get away from looking at these like divisory points. My God's right, your God doesn't exist. My path is right, yours is wrong. I'm good, you're evil because you believe something different from me. It's all one energy being expressed in different ways. And I wanted to exemplify this with Dianeglis, okay, because it's really coming through with Dianeglis, the counterpoint, the divine masculine, however you want to see it, emperor to empress, Dogda, to Dogda, to this energy of that the feminine, the mama energy of Cancer. It's about coming back into that unification point. It's coming in so strongly with that masculine energy, and I think it's beautiful because it's really showing that Danu, that masculine, it's a reflection of her. They're one and the same. They're one and the same, and we know this. We can't have a bird fly forward to freedom if it only has one wing. That's imbalanced. They're one and the same. They're two sides of the same coin. There's no separation, and that's the truth. And that's with all things. That's with all energy. And it's coming to this alchemical point of realization, but it also applies globally. This also reminds me of a globe, okay? Reminds me of a globe. And I'm like looking at this, it almost looks like sights, right? Shooting the target, hitting the sights, having your sights set on the greater whole, on the world, It also, it makes me think of, these same associations with Danu, they exist with Dianeglis. And so I actually wanted to just bring these in, but Louisa T, she does a lot of work like this. She educates on how to bring things together. And she also works with, she is a kahuna, Leilani, and they put together a wonderful book. Please look into it. I highly recommend you look into it. And if you're interested in Yoruba tradition, or you're interested in knowing about the Orishas, or if you're interested in knowing the truth about voodoo or hoodoo, anything like this, I highly recommend you pick up a copy of Jambalaya by Louisa Tish. I highly recommend you check out Crossroads. It's her online school. She's also on Facebook. Look up Louisa Tish. Get connected with Yeye Tish. I've had the honor, the pleasure to sit with her, to learn from her, to receive her wisdom. I have so much respect for her. So I love the Orishas, and I love the traditions of the African diaspora. And I really just want to let you know, if you want to know the truth about these traditions, please stop listening to this regurgitated bullshit that is all perpetuated by Hollywood and the algorithm and the programming, which is about creating fear and division. And please instead go and sit with an elder, sit with someone like Louisa Tish, look up Louisa Tish, connect with her, and you're going to have a whole different view. You can also look up Louisa Tish here on YouTube. She has a channel. She's not very active on it, okay? She's an elder, and she doesn't do a lot of this stuff, okay? But she does have some videos up there. She's a font of wisdom. She's an inexhaustible mama. Yeye means mama, okay? She's an inexhaustible cauldron of creation. Let me tell you, anytime you can spend with Yeye Tish is going to do you good. I just really want to make that clear, because
it makes me very angry when I hear a misrepresentation of it. It really does. It makes me so angry because it's so disrespectful. And it's disrespectful to the same energy that everybody is just parroting and talking about, this divine feminine, divine masculine, without really grokking it, without really embodying it, without really understanding the unity consciousness that it requires, because it's one and the same. So I just really want to bring this piece in because it's something that's really close to my heart, and it's actually very core, central to my vision for BroadCoven. Dianeglis is associated, I'm just going to bring in a few, okay, just for you to understand how these energies, they may be called by different names, but despite where we live in the world or what our beliefs are, we're all still tapping into the same energies. So Dianeglis is associated with Melektos, which is, and I probably am not pronouncing that correctly, so, but Melek, and it looks like Taos is Yazidi, which is of the Kurdistan, area of the Middle East and Western Asia, okay, is sort of the roots of that particular deity. Same energy. Dianeglis, Melektos, okay? Dianeglis is the same energy as Vishnu and Krishna in the Hindu tradition. And it's very interesting because in Hindu tradition, you will see Vishnu and Krishna both as blue gods, and Dianeglis is known as the blue god. So again, we have this expressed here coming through. Same energy, different name, same energy. Then we have Hyakinthos, which is Greek. We have Okin Obaeye, which is Yoruba tradition, okay? We have Lemba Lembe, Green Boy, Gentle One. This is Voodoo tradition, all right? Same energy, all one energy. Oh, you may be saying, oh yeah, but you know, that has nothing to do with my particular tradition. That has nothing to do with Christianity. For those of you who are on a Christian path, oh yes, it does. It's the same energy as Archangel Michael. Same energy, Christianity. Same energy as Shaitan and Muslim. Please forgive me for any mispronunciations. If any of you do know the true pronunciations and you're of those traditions, I welcome the opportunity to be educated. You know, you can drop a comment and, you show me the correct way, for it to be pronounced. I would love to have access to that information. I want to learn. I want to understand. I also want to respect it. I think the way we respect traditions is to be mindful of those things. I know that just from studying all kinds of mantra within Ayurvedic tradition. Okay, so please, I would love to learn. I am teachable, and I hope this can be a place where we can all learn and we can all grow together. Okay, and then here's the real interesting piece coming in here. In Roman, a tradition known as Lucifer. And Lucifer means light bearer, okay? So this is just to show you that all of these energies is all the same trick. So this is about, the God, the goddess, these energies, that divine masculine, the divine feminine coming together. But it's through first, we have to obtain the first jewel, which is acting on that seed that we received. We know our truth. We know what we need to cut off. We know the actions we need to take in order to move forward in empowerment and to shoot our shot, to activate our destiny, really open the road. That's what we've been talking about. We've been talking about opening the road so we can step up, rise up into our destiny. It's here. And that destiny, when we look at it from a collective standpoint, it's all about, stepping into that age of Aquarius, the Aquarian age. When we move into that place of expansion, this is the opportunity that will be coming in with that blue moon. This is the lunar cycle we're in. This is the questing cycle we are in right now. That opportunity is being extended to us with that Page of Cups. It's an opportunity to learn how to do what is necessary to act with that sword, FRAGARACH, to take action, to gain that power through taking action that fuels our fire with the spear of destiny, and we can receive this Ace of Cups. Okay, so we already received our Ace of Swords. We already received FRAGARACH, but we can't activate the power and receive the answers to our questions until we take action on the inspiration. You have to be willing to follow the divine inspiration that comes through to activate this vision. You have to move in partnership, creative partnership with all of life in order to unlock these treasures, their potentials, okay? These jewels, these treasures of the Tuatha De Dannan. So what we're really looking at right now is the necessity to act on our truth with that sword and that fire energy married together with the spear of blue, okay? And that's what's going to bring the light, birth that star energy. The star being our North Star, you know, moving up into that North Star energy, our North Node, our guiding force in our lives. We're having the opportunity to really birth that beginning, to nurture growth in that direction. It's coming in. So I just wanted to kind of wrap this up with a little bit of a read here. And I'm using the Paulina Tarot. And we're going to see what are we being called to do? How are we being called to act right now to unlock the power of FRAGARACH, to receive the answers we need that gives us the will to take action and to shoot our shot with that spear of destiny and hit our mark with that moon, to shoot for the moon, shoot for that blue moon, hit our mark, and actually get what we need to get our Ace of Cups, you know, to feel all of spirit, all of life pouring into us and nurturing our growth, nurturing our new beginnings that we'll see come to fruition and fulfillment on the September 29th point of alignment, when Empress and Emperor become one, when Magician and High Priestess become one, when Danu and Dionysus, they of many names, become one. And we really tap that inexhaustible source that feeds all, that nourishes all, that nurtures all, just like that Ace of Cups that comes in with that supermoon, that blue supermoon in Pisces. Okay. Yep, see? Page of Wands. This is the education you're receiving now. We have yet to act on the wand energy to take the action. First, we have to merge the energy of the sword, FRAGARACH, before we can use Lu, the spear of destiny, to hit our mark. So we know we need to take an action, okay? We've become in alignment with our truth. What is this action we are being asked to take, Faerie? What is this action we are being asked to take, Faerie? What is the action we are being asked to take, Faerie? What is the action we are being asked to take, Faerie? Ooh. We have the Knight of Cups in reverse. I see this as we're not moving forward. This is interesting. Yes. Okay. Yes. Okay. So with the Knight of Cups in reverse, you know, before that knight can get that cup, that Ace of Cups, and move forward, right? Which is all about journey, having the vehicle, the vehicle to actually take up that new beginning that's presented with that blue moon, and have the opportunity to have this new beginning in love, this new beginning in creativity, this new beginning that promises inexhaustible fulfillment, nourishment. We really have to move out of this place. We know the truth. We know the truth. Isn't it funny that the Justice card also, and many times you will see justice as, if you look at statues of justice, justice is blind, right? Has the blindfold on, but justice has the scales in the hands. And this is the thing, you need to take up the scales in your hands. You're not trapped. You have the ability to do this. You've already seen the truth. You're scared to act on it. You're scared to act on it and own the action. Action, that is karma, okay? Holding the scales in the hand, actually taking the action, actually using the sword to cut off what doesn't serve, death, ending the old cycle that was the Scorpio South Node. We're not there anymore. And after death always comes the rebirth and the celebration and the birth of new beginnings in the form of what? The destiny, the 10 of Pentacles. In this case, we're talking about the stone of destiny when we complete this cycle with that final supermoon on September 29th in Aries. That is where we're supposed to rise up into. That's when we have this healing. That's when we have this celebration. And all that time we did that dance with Pluto. All that time we did that dance with Mars in opposition to Venus. All that time we did that transformational work. We transformed that devil energy, and we learned how to integrate our shadow and to be empowered by what we learned in our time resting in the dark, so we could bring it up, bring the subconscious up into the light, so we could take that seed that we planted, nurture it, and it grows in the dark, and it sprouts forth, and it grows into that north node as that flowering God. I love how that came in for Dianeglis. The sweetness of the bloom, the sweetness of the bloom. I also feel like part of this is about, in order to move forward, there's a need to, you got to spill out the cups. You have to grieve the old cycle. You have to allow yourself to release the emotions. You may find yourself being very emotional through this cycle. It's so you can nurture that seed so it can really grow. You have to let the old cycle go. And we see that clearly. Look at that supermoon energy there. There is the ending, the release. Do you see when we look at, didn't we talk about this? We talked about this. We talked about the feminine, giving over to the masculine to be held. Do you see? Look at the feminine here. The feminine, open, unguarded, giving over, totally giving over. These swords representing more that masculine quality, the penetrating quality, the discerning quality, right? The intellect. This is emotional release and letting go. I feel like this is coming in. This is coming in with that Pisces blue moon on the 31st. And it's through this letting go that we're finally open to receive, because then we give ourselves open to the masculine for that avenue to come through us where we can birth that new beginning. Okay. Only then will we be able to, actually take up that opportunity there, that Ace of Cups that's presented on that blue moon, that we can charge forward. All right. Charge forward into our blessings. We have to stop telling ourselves lies, though, that we're stuck, that we don't know the action we need to take. I mean, any action is a good action at this point. All it takes is a step. One step in alignment with your truth tends to reveal the next steps to you. The rose rises up to meet you. This is all about coming into balance, mind, body, spirit. It's about celebration. It's about healing. When we think of primordial mother, often we look at triple goddess aspect, triple god aspect. Again, this is mirrored in many different traditions all over the globe, okay? All over the globe. You know, it's known as the Trimurti. It's known as the Tridevi in Hindu tradition. It's in every tradition. In Christianity, you know, the Father, the Son, the Holy Ghost, you know, the Trinity energy, Mother Mary, Father God, baby Jesus, you know, you can look at this so many different ways. So it's that energy. And look at, they're toasting, they're coming together into a unification point. The unification point is where it's at. That's what it's about. Because what is the 10 of Pentacles about? What is activating that, the veil, the stone of destiny on the hill of Tara, that only cries out, is only activated, cries out. The song of ecstasis is what creates. It's that one note that reverberates through all of creation and becomes that symphony of creation. It can only be activated once the individual is able to pull that sword from the stone, okay, through all their actions, through the initial seed that was planted in Capricorn to the full culmination of it, of the supermoon in Aries on the 29th, the alignment point, the 11 point, the 0 point, the unifying point, the reunion point. It can't be activated until these two are building together. So this is really a beautiful promise of this abundance, this celebration, this harvest. I personally feel there's every reason to hope. But here's the thing, here's the piece that most people miss. You know, there's a lot of people that are focused on doom and gloom, and they're focused on the destructive aspects. And I kind of see that aspect of the collective consciousness as being like that 5 of cups, like just continuing. Like the reason why there's not moving forward, okay, is because you're still like looking back at the spilled cup with the Knight of Cups in reverse. And what is the spilled cups in the 5 of Cups? It's the 3 of Cups, right? They're spilled out on the ground, and the figure is looking back at the 3 cups that were spilled, that were supposed to be healing, that were supposed to be transformation, that were supposed to be reason for celebration, and are now just a disappointment. And meanwhile, because they're still looking back with that Knight of Cups in reverse, they're not able to charge forward with their Ace of Cups, their new beginning, to what's coming in, which is the rebirth, the renewal, the changing of the seasons that comes with the fall equinox, that brings the harvest, that brings the fruits of one's labor, the fruits of one's soul labor, the fruits of the labor of the Empress to birth a new beginning, and brings the alignment, the 2 of Cups, because there's always the 2 of Cups on offer on the other side. And that's what this is about. You know, you are coming into alignment with your path of destiny. And there's somebody very significant that will be coming onto your path. And it will be a different role for each of you, you know. A lot of you will find you are coming together with the other, the lover. And those of you that have been doing this integrative work, and you're actually ready to balance your karma, you're ready to take up that sword, you're ready to act on your truth, you're ready to cut off what needs to be cut off, you're ready to release the old cycle, you're ready to do whatever you need to do to take any actions you need to close things up so you can step into the new. And this can be still, you know, even with, let's look from terms of relationships. That can be with somebody you're currently with, but maybe you're needing to close an old cycle between the 2 of you so you can move together cleanly into this next chapter that's before you in a new way, in a better way. So there's many different ways this energy can manifest, but that's the goal. It's time to act on that truth and use that decisiveness of the Queen of Swords, the King of Swords. And it's through that then the King of Swords, the Queen of Swords can act in that place of decisiveness that it breathes life into the fire energy. The Queen of Wands, the King of Wands, that independent energy, that impassioned energy, the feeling in your element, you know, feeling on your block, you know, knowing exactly what to do, having the ambition, having the enthusiasm, focusing on the light, building the light, letting the light shine the way forward. Then you arrive in the cups. This is all the cycle of alchemy and the cycle of manifestation. Then you arrive in the cups, and it's all nurtured and it's fueled by your heart. You're following the path of heart because you use the 8 of cups to walk away from what no longer serves. You built a bridge from the past to the present. You stepped on the new timeline. Now you're on the path of heart. You're moving away from this place of lack, of the 5 of Pentacles, that scarcity consciousness, feeling cut off, feeling like you're not lining up with your destiny, with your path, with the person you're meant to be with what you're supposed to be doing right now. The path comes through. Look, the path comes through. You're still spilling it out. Look at it. It's all spilling out, the star. You're still spilling it out on the past. It's time to cleanse the old cycle. It's time to let yourself release, because you really have to act. You have to act by turning up one of those vessels so you can receive this Ace of Cups, this love, this new beginning that wants to come into you, that will align you with your sun, your happiness, the light at the end of the tunnel, the rising up to that North Star, that North Node, and your wish fulfillment with the 9 of Cups, right? It takes strength. You have to overcome the challenges of the past. Look who overcomes the challenges of the past. Look who tempers. Look who tempers the hurts, the wounds, the vulnerabilities of the past. Who transforms the fire energy. It's the Empress. It's that Libra energy as the balancing point to the fire energy, the air, the fire, coming into a place of balance. When we look at the Empress, it's the integration, right? It's the integration of all 4 queens, all elemental queens: air, fire, water, earth, then becomes the Empress. This is coming in, the seed to fuel this, the avenue for the Empress to come through is coming through in Leo season. And through transforming our old hurts, our old traumas, and extracting the wisdom from those experiences and alchemizing those experiences, that we will give birth to the new world with that Pisces energy coming in. That's when mama gets nurturing for a change. That's when mama feels the support of the masculine. That's when we come into that point. If we undivide our love, there's a beautiful song. It's by Catherine Wheel. I feel like it really has a strong message for what we're moving through with this particular jewel, with FRAGARACH, the answerer, the sword of NUADA. I feel it's really speaking to this journey that's leading us up to that point of taking action to shoot with that moon so we can actually plant that seed. That's when we're meant to plant that seed that came in and came through this whole cycle, this journey we're on right now. You will plant that seed with that Pisces full moon. You will plant that seed in the Empress's belly, in her cauldron of creation, so she can give birth to it in coming to union with Emperor, all right? It's through doing this healing work and closing out the old cycle. This brings to mind too with Leo. It also reminds me that the old cycle we were in, now we're in the cardinal signs, right? Cardinal signs are all about finding our direction, you know, finding our direction and actually getting stuff done. The cardinal signs get stuff done. They make stuff happen, okay? They don't just chill out. Like, they're not wishy-washy. They're certain. They make things happen. They are that ace energy. We just got through closing out the cycle, right? With this change of the nodes of destiny that came in, we just got through closing out the cycle with the fixed signs, which also happen to be on the world, okay? We got to let this world turn, because it's time for a new world to come on through. And it's coming through the cardinal signs. It's coming through the cardinal signs, because it's not until this complete journey is over of the cardinal signs, when we have the closing of the age of the Kali Yuga, that we step into that new cycle collectively with the dawning of the Aquarian age, right? It's really beautiful energy here. This is how we're supposed to transform this energy, though. There's a key here as we move into that cauldron of creation. We cannot forget the mother, and we cannot forget the necessity for the mother to also feel safe and open and trusting of giving over to the masculine, the avenue, the way. They need to be in partnership with each other. They can't be apart from each other anymore. That's why their reunion is being called for. And it's interesting because all of this is happening in Leo season, and we have Venus retrograde in Leo. So yeah, there's a lot of reunions happening too. And whoever's coming back into your life at this time, and I do feel once in a blue moon, somebody really important is coming into your life. Maybe from a past life, somebody you have soul recognition with, maybe a past love, maybe a teacher like Yay Teach, who's here to teach you something about your roots, something about your past. It could be a family member you've been cut off from. It could be your father. It could be your mother. But we're calling these parts of us home. We're calling these parts of us into one. And it's through calling it into that place of union and coming together and rising up in that collectively and in our own individual experiences. The macrocosm, the microcosm, that we are birthing this new beginning, one light lit at a time. Okay, really beautiful energy. And we know this is the way through. This is what comes through. Look, we have the Three of Wands. This is the way opening. It's the way opening that leads to the North Node. What does it lead to? How beautiful can you get here? We get this beautiful energy here of the Six of Cups. This is reunion energy. This is soulmate energy. And I love this. I love this because you can't see it now. What is it rising up into? We got that Devil. And in this case, it's representing the Capricorn North Node. And we also had that, interesting dichotomy come in, right? The things you normally see as evil, you vilify. For example, Lucifer being also associated with a Dionysus, but at the same time, Archangel Michael. It's this interesting polarity here, the balancing of opposites. I mean, this is what Libra does. That is what's required to balance karma, to come into that point where we can find the way through and we can rise up into our destiny and slough off the lies that have been told about the snake, the deceiver. Snake medicine is about shedding old skins. Snake medicine is about alchemy. Snake medicine is the caduceus. It is the healer. It is the Ida. It is the Pingala. It is the Kundalini activation that brings about the conjuncto, the union of the divine masculine and feminine within, that bursts all things into new being. Really cool energy. Right now you're getting your vision, a new vision. That's what's awakening. You have a new vision. Your vision is going to be continuing to be strengthened. Oh, I love this. Look at this. I didn't notice this. They look like they're on clouds, and they're peacocks. They're peacocks, and they're holding wands. Oh, it's like the air and the fire coming together. It's that activating point that will provide the new way through Dionysus. Remember, he came through as what was it? The peacock angel. I love that. Do you see? Because we were just talking about Michael. Do you see the threads of connection, the way all the energy fits together? It's really beautiful. I feel like this kind of is like saying everything that needs to come through with this, but I think maybe Yeah? Okay. I'm being called to pull out an angel card to leave off with the angels since they came in. Oh my gosh. Look at what's on the bottom of the deck. It is the Ace of Cups. God, the King of Heaven. Oh my goodness. Rejuvenation obtains the mercy of God and gives long life. It's like the fulfillment. I got like Holy Grail vibes, man. It's like the fulfillment of that promise, you know, that cauldron of creation giving birth to the new beginning, that Ace of Cups that promises inexhaustible fulfillment through the harvest that comes with the final supermoon in Aries by rising up into that potential. Oh, it's really beautiful. Okay, let's check it out. Let's see what comes in here. Just get a little angel guidance as we wrap this up. I feel like this feels really complete to me. I still have a lot I'm integrating about this. I'm in this creative space with you. I encourage you, you know, anything that this is, you know, brought up for you or maybe like awakened in you or inspired in you, please share. Let's all pull it into Dogda's cauldron. You know, let's start getting the ingredients together for this collective soul soup, you know, that is going to get bubbling and brewing with that once in a blue moon in Pisces. And let's really let's give mama some real nurturing, you know, something really nourishing, and let's really have something cooking that really does nourish and feed all. I really love that energy of us like co-creating this space together. And I just really felt like bringing this in with all of you. And I know this isn't going to be everybody's thing, you know, and it's like, if you're not into, you know, going down the esoteric rabbit hole, you don't have to. But there are people who want to, you know, and really want to enjoy that. So we have space for all of it here. Obviously, you know, I have a sense of humor, and I can be crass, and I can give it to you straight, but I also like exploring these waters as well. This is me too, Pac-Man. Okay, I'm all of it. I'm a multi-dimensional being. I'm a balancer of opposites, you know. That is my role. I've spent my whole life doing that. Just withholding that Libra and Aries energy in equal balance. You know, I understand this journey, finding that balancing point. It's not easy to arrive at. There's a lot of fierce tests around that, a lot to integrate, also a lot to unlearn. And you have to be able to be teachable too. 2244 on the clock. Master builder block for coming into alignment with the manifestation of your destiny and also coming together with the other. But first, what needs to happen is Uriel saying you got to let this tower fall, and that is the action. It's like once the tower is fallen and the truth is revealed, then it becomes necessary to take that action. And it's saying here, Uriel is saying disruption warns of disasters, but also aids in transformation. So these changes might not be easy. This action you may have to take, that sword you have to pull. I mean, it does require bravery to live in your truth, speak your truth, move in your truth. Maybe your truth is unpopular. Maybe people don't want to hear what you have to say. Maybe it does require a lot of courage for you to step into your truth and to act from that place, to follow your heart, especially if you think that you'll be traveling that path alone, that you'll be looked at as a fool. But you're being asked to embody the daring of the fool and instead tap into the enthusiasm of the wonder and the promise and the potential of a new cycle. It doesn't have to be what it was, because it's not. It's altogether brand new. You never have the same experience twice. It's always moving forward. Yes, and this is really your challenge. I mean, they're really reiterating this. We got the 8 of Swords here, okay? 8 of Swords, it's like off with your head. It's time to like get out of the head, and you need to drop into the heart, because look, the Ace of Cups is in reverse. you will miss this opportunity if you stay in your head, if you continue to mull things over, tying yourself up in psychological knots. You have to act on what you know is true, even if it scares you, even if it brings disruption. This tower is going to fall one way or another. You can be empowered in grasping that sword, saying, I'm going to take that seed that I got with that Capricorn supermoon, and I'm going to act in alignment with my truth. I'm going to cut off what's going to get in the way of me stepping into my destiny and where I'm being called to go on a soul level now. I'm going to take that action. I'm going to use my will, my passion, my purpose to direct that wand, merge it with my inspiration, with my vision, that seed of potential. And I'm going to shoot my shot, man. And I'm going to shoot for that moon. Once in a blue moon, I just might hit it. And we see that, if you don't get out of the head and drop into the heart, you're going to miss the mark. And that's the thing. It's like there's a Sioux saying that the longest journey you'll ever take is the one from your head to your heart. But the heart is the bridging point between the musing energy, the inspired energy, the spiritual purpose, the vision, the higher consciousness calling. It is the merging point between that and actually making something happen with it where you see it manifest in your reality. You're the creator. You have to own it. And that's also part of this truth. But you have to act. And you can only act when you cut off what you know you need to cut off. Let the tower fall. Speak the truth. Have those communications. Take those actions, and then you will get this opportunity for this new beginning. But this is what's on the line right now. It's in reverse. It's being spilled out. It says here, it said rejuvenation obtains the mercy of God and gives long life, but with it in reverse, this is when you feel like any day you're like Chicken Little, the sky is falling, the sky is falling. All you keep looking at is the doom and gloom and the potential for everything to be lost and more of the same. And you're so depressed that you're in this place of victimization. You ever heard that saying, like, God helps those who help themselves? It's a little bit of that medicine. Angels give it straight, man, It's a little bit of that medicine because it says obtains the mercy of God, but that's when it's upright. Y'all have it in inverse, Once you take an action to help yourself and you act in alignment with your truth, you're going to have a whole cavalry of angels showing up for you. And they'll provide you that chariot you need to move forward into your north node, into your destiny, and the alignment, and the other, and the opportunities, and the gifts, and everything, the harvest that's on the other side, okay? Don't lose your head. Don't stay up in your head, because to do so, you're going to cut off this opportunity. And it makes me think of something that I went through in my own healing process, in my own history, where there came a point where I really had to learn how to be embodied. Like, I had to get out of my head and get into my body. And I did that in many different ways. And usually a good way to do that is working with the fire energy. It's through action. So, one thing that helps is breathing in, when you're feeling scared or you start to get too anxious, you get too much in your head, you feel confused, you feel victimized, you don't know what to do, you feel disempowered. It's about calming down the mind. How do you calm down the mind? You got to inspire, you got to breathe in, and you breathe all the way down to your belly. When you breathe into your belly, then you're in that womb space, right? You're in your sacral chakra space. You're in that portal of creativity, energy space in your auric body, right? That is where you birth new beginnings. It's also, interestingly enough, the place where you store all of your intimate experiences, the coming together with the other. So it rules over all of these energies of coming together, that the avenue and the creativity that births new beginnings, the masculine and the feminine that births new beings into worlds, you know. It is the path coming into alignment with the purpose, you know. The path and the purpose is what births the new creative direction. It's all of this, but you can't arrive there if you don't embody it. If you stay in your head, you can't root it in material reality. And so this is about drawing that moon energy down, embodying that cauldron of creation, you know, within the self, holding it within you by getting out of your head and getting present in your body. And there's many ways to do that, making sure you're nourishing yourself, you know, caring for your body as if it were a vessel for the divine to reside in, because it is. It is. You know, it's about treating your body as that altar, caring for your body, connecting with your body. This is an action you can take. This is a positive action you can take to start to become more embodied. As you care for your body, then it helps you unlock your emotions. It helps the emotions flow. If you get some exercise in, it can clear your head. It can also get your lymph moving. It can help you release, you know, release the old cycle. It also gets the energy out of the head, out of the realm of ideas, and it puts it into motion. That's taking an action that can create the emotional clearing. That alone, just to feel like you're taking a step forward, any step, no matter how small, that is shooting your shot if what you're holding is that seed in your mind. Because one little dandelion seed head, you blow that, and all those little seeds, they scatter and they crop up dandelions all over the place, right? All over the place. And I love dandelions because they're very, very connected to Faerie. Dandelion coming through as an ally for you, as a little plant medicine ally, maybe has a little wisdom it's bringing forward for you. Very associated with Faerie though, but you know, dandelions, they look like the sun, don't they? You know, those fields of gold, your field of dreams, you know. It starts with a small seed. It grows to that, right? We know how pervasive dandelions are. Once they take root, you know, people call them a weed, but there's so much beauty with dandelions. Aren't they beautiful? Their little gold shining faces all lit up, and just the kind of whimsical, magical nature of what it's like when, even when you were a little kid, that sense of wonder when you would make a wish and you'd blow on a dandelion seed head and you felt so much hope and possibility. It's the same thing, you know. And right here with this Eight of Swords, I love it's bringing in the Libra energy. It's like, this is what we need to do to balance our karma. You got to recognize that you do see the truth. You see it. Look at this angel is like holding you up here and saying, look, you already know the truth. You know it. You need to act on it. And it says truth and justice, protection from enemies who would steal one's fortune. You could steal your fortune from yourself by refusing to act, by remaining in your fear, by remaining divided, by not doing what is necessary to really embody your truth and move forward in that. I mean, it's just such a clear indication of what is to come. I feel like I want to get one more card. Let's get one of the Halloween Oracle cards, because that feels like it kind of will talk about what is that destiny, what is the message about that destiny that we can kind of like connect with, that will be coming in with the final supermoon, the final jewel. When we reclaim our sovereignty, we move into that big emperor, big empress energy. We come to that unification point. And then we unlock our destiny. We have the key that we need to unlock our destiny. And what comes in for us? What comes in for us? Just give us some symbolism to work with here. What comes in for us, Faerie? What is this harvest? What is the key about this harvest that awaits us if we have the courage to take action with decisiveness? If we take that seed of wisdom, that seed of inspiration that came in for us, and if we actually take action to plant it, if we shoot our shot and we allow it to get nurtured in that cauldron of creation that comes in with that Pisces blue moon, what is the potential of the harvest spirit? It's just too perfect. Look, you got joy, and it comes in with the fall. Look at the letting go, the beauty of the symbolism. Look at that light pouring in through the letting go. I love it. It's so gorgeous. Just the symbolism of this coming through. It says rejoicing in the present. And I feel like that's the key. There's so much beauty here. If we really want to step into the opportunity of the destiny, we really need to unite with that light aspect. And this too must be remembered about coming into alignment. And this has been very mirrored for us. We've talked about this, right? We've talked about the solar sun, which is Leo's ruling planet here in Leo season. We've also talked about Sirius, the dog star, which is the spiritual sun. And though we can't see it, in the dark, that light is still shining. That light is still there. And we can build that light within ourselves, and it's through that balancing, it's through the balancing, because when we're looking at the dog star, we got, Isis, which is big mother energy, right? Big mother energy. Isis with the wings, it reminds me of that air energy. And it also reminds me of Ma'at energy with the scales, Libra, justice, okay? Weighing of the heart to the feather. And it's so wild because that heart, that is that Ace of Cups, that feather, that is FRAGARACH, that is the sword of truth that needs to be acted upon in order to gain its power, and we have that point of alchemy that comes, when we come to that point of unifying the head with the heart. And we do that when we arrive in the present, and just that Anubis energy there, that is balancing those scales. Can we allow the spiritual illumination of that connection with Sirius, which is that light that's still there, even within the dark? That star card, we had the star card come out, that guiding North Star. Can we trust that it's there, even as we're in the process of releasing and letting things go? If we do, there's so much joy to be received in the harvest that comes in the fall with that final super moon in Aries. I just love this energy. Any final message you want to bring on through? Any final message you want to bring on through, Danu? Any final message you want to bring on through, Danu? Primordial Mother. This is all what we're preparing for, is to really step into Primordial Mother and allow ourselves to be held by the Father, so we can really have that chariot arrive that will carry us through. Cancer is associated with the chariot, right? Carry us through to that North Node of Destiny. So I'm just really tapping into that Danu energy right now. Danu, what do you want us to take away from the lesson, the jewel of FRAGARACH? The answer. What is the answer we seek in regard to this cycle we're moving through? What is the answer that will give us the ability to step into this point of alchemy and the promise that it brings, Danu? Here's Ted. There's a hand. Ooh, almost Ted. Ooh, we got a couple here. We got a couple. There's two. We got a couple here. Isn't that interesting? We talked about coming into union. Ooh. Emotional intelligence. Vampire. This is very like Scorpio energy to me. It also reminds me of the dark feminine, right? The dark feminine energy. Emotional intelligence. Well, vampires are children of the night, right? They're children of the night. But there's some kind of intelligence. There's some kind of emotional intelligence you grok during this time of balancing this karma. You know, I think of vampire energy. I also think about, it's interesting, look, holding that Ace of Cups too. You know, there's something that's been learned in that time of diving deep into the shadow. The dark feminine has wisdom as well. And we had some big Lilith energy come in with this super moon. Big Lilith energy came in with this super moon. So Lilith very front and center. That's another story that is about those polarities. Lilith rises up as Inanna, queen of the heavens. There's great association with Lilith and Eve. They are two faces of the same divine feminine energy. One is just the dark mysteries of the divine feminine, and the other is that exemplified in shining that light forward, the light that's gained, that germinates in the dark from the seed that's planted, right? So there's something here about during your time in that Scorpio South node, you know, you gained that emotional intelligence. You gained the intellectual wisdom that comes through that sword. You know, intellectual wisdom is something that is very much exercised by that air sign element, by the Queen of Swords, by the King of Swords. So this is really saying, prepare, you know, with that truth that you've arrived at, prepare to exercise those choices, those decisions that you know are informed by what is true for you. Be in that place of integrity to take that action. And it is about using that emotional intelligence to bring closure to this old cycle. We're meant to now be done with what has come to pass. Because if we don't, you know, vampires also, you know, they drain your energy. They leech your energy. And you can get stuck in a karmic cycle if you want. And you can go for that trip again and miss this new beginning that's on offer if you choose not to act. But this is what's being asked of us. Look, the ending, that Scorpio energy represented by the skull. Do you see the marigold there? Marigold also coming through as an ally. Mexican marigold, Tachetes. If you scroll down on the community board a ways back, I have a post I put up about working with Tachetes, Mexican marigold, which is wonderful as an ally for cutting off old cycles, cutting off energy that no longer serves, doing that release work, really working with that dark feminine energy so you can grieve and let go. You know, you think about Mexican marigolds, you think of Dias de los Muertos, which also takes place, you know, at that time where, you know, you notice with Dias de los Muertos, it's a celebration. It's a celebration of what has closed cycle. It's a celebration of that transition of life. It's a celebration of the Los Grandes Muertes, the big deaths. It's a celebration of it. There's celebration, there's joy, even in the release, just like the leaves shedding away from the tree in the fall, because we know that in what is shed, though we enter the time of the realm of the swords, okay, at winter time, this is Ayurvedically. We head into that time of follow. We know that in spring, associated with that Ace of Pentacles, comes the new beginning, comes the birth of the renewal, comes Lilith rising up as Inanna, comes Persephone rising up as Core. It's that journey of the divine feminine merging with the divine masculine. And this is when we create through the ashes and we forge a new way into being. Really beautiful. Out of the old rises the new. Again, it's like, it's the mirror effect, right? Old, new. What is the balancing point? What is the balancing point between old, new? the present. And that right now is where you'll find your gifts.